Welcome, everyone. In the next 10 minutes, you will see some concrete realities about our destiny. This could change your stance on the concept of climate change, but at the end, everyone will draw their own conclusions. As theoretical framework, we will see that our universe is governed by geometries and cyclical trajectories. Every time a cycle ends, it starts again and repeating the events that occurred along the way. The rotation cycle of the Earth is a 24-hour cycle in which we experience day and night. We can predict certainty that it will be dark at night, simply because we have been understanding this rotation cycle of the Earth for centuries. But if a Martian who lives on a planet with two suns where never is darkness arrived on Earth one day without any knowledge, and arrived in Rome, Italy, one day at 4 p.m., this Martian would walk happily around the city until suddenly, at 9 p.m., it starts to get dark, the light begins to fade, and the Martian doesn't understand what is happening. Maybe they feel fear, because they have never seen darkness, and maybe they think that the end of the world has come. But in reality, it is just a part of our cycle, and soon the sun will shining again. We know and can predict when, on what date, and in which part of the world there will be darkness, because we have enough analyzed data of this cycle of the Earth that, at the end, has many variations and many other movements on its route. We cannot change it or prevent night from happening, but our technological advancements have allowed us to eliminate the night and liven it as daytime. Nothing remains static in this universe. Everything has a trajectory or orbit, and with enough data, we can determine its cycle. And after we knowing the cycle, we can predict its path and the changes it experiences along the way. Everything, even rocks, have cyclical trajectories, such as the well-known Halley's Comet, which we see passing by every 75.3 years, and we already know that it will return in the year 2061. The Earth's orbital motion allows us to predict climatic seasons and approximate temperatures in each part of the Earth. The lunar cycle allows us to predict ocean currents and migratory routes of some birds. What does the solar cycle allow us to predict? That's right. As we mentioned before, nothing in this universe remains static, and the sun also has a cycle. It moves through the Milky Way, dragging the entire solar system on his journey. But what events occur on Earth during this journey? How do they affect us? Like in the other mentioned cycles, we must analyze the past, the journey, and the changes during the journey so we understand the cycle and maybe predict the future. The sun has an almost circular orbit around the core of our galaxy, and it takes about 225 million years to complete one cycle. However, like the Earth, its journey involves many movements that could determine different events on each planet that accompanies the sun. But what could those events be on Earth? Analyzing and predicting light and darkness on Earth has been simple, because since in a person's lifetime, we usually have 32,000 experiences of the cycle and opportunities to observe day and night. Knowing when it will be cold or hot has been equally simple, since each person in their own life has about 85 opportunities to observe changes in the different seasons. And all this in a history that goes far beyond the life and experiences of a single person. With that level of data, we can accurately know today at what time the sun will set in Rome on July 15th from the year 2030. However, it has not been possible to observe a single cycle of 225 million years in all the history of humanity. The oldest human being dates back to 3.2 million years ago, but humanity itself has existed for no more than 200,000 years. We are like the Martian who arrived on Earth just 1 minute ago. And we know about this cycle as much as that Martian knew about day and night within a minute of arrival. But on the other hand, we have had enough time to develop our science, mastering the night with it, exploring space, and also observing and analyzing our past. Through volcanology, we have known about past volcanic eruptions. Thanks to fossils, mummies, and timeless bacteria, we have learned about extinct species and understood the reason for their extinction. This has allowed us to compose an evolution chain and theorize about how it was before and how and why it changed. science has allowed us to know a large part of the past, such as the fact that the Earth has already gone through at least 5 mass extinctions. The first one we know occurred approximately 443 million years ago. Here, almost suddenly in geological timescales, 85% of species disappeared from the planet. The theory states that a great glaciation covered Gondwana, the southern supercontinent, significantly lowering water levels and leaving oceans poor in oxygen and rich in toxic metals. The cause is not very clear, but it has been proposed that the emerging of the Appalachian Mountains, today in the USA, exposed new rock, whose chemical erosion removed CO2 from the atmosphere, and this reducing the greenhouse effect and freezing the continent. Devonian extinction. The second extinction on record occurred 364 million years ago, and this time in a more gradual way, 75% of species became extinct. There are many theories, but the most interesting suggests that the lack of herbivorous animals caused an explosion in plant growth, which caused a significant decrease in atmospheric CO2, triggering global cooling. Additionally, the release of nutrients into the oceans by plants acting on rocks caused algal blooms, depleting the water of oxygen. Permian-Triassic extinction. The third known extinction occurred 252 million years ago. This is considered the largest extinction event in Earth's history. It is popularly attributed to a massive volcanic episode that released large amounts of CO2, causing catastrophic global warming. The result was the extinction from 75% of the species. According to a study from 2021, the effects of this extinction event are similar to the current climate crisis we are experiencing. Triassic-Jurassic extinction. The fourth mass extinction event was occurred 200 million years ago, with a new volcanic cataclysm in the region of the current Atlantic Ocean, releasing immense amounts of CO2. This led to planetary warming and acidification of the oceans, which was devastating for the biosphere, this resulting in an extinction rate of 80% of species. Cretaceous Tertiary extinction, the fifth and most well-known mass extinction event on record, marked the end of the dinosaur era 65 million years ago. It is widely accepted that the cataclysm was caused by the impact of a 12-kilometer asteroid. The global cooling and darkening it caused resulted in the extinction of 75% of terrestrial life, especially the big animals. For years, an alternative hypothesis has circulated attributing the extinction to a volcanic phenomenon that generated the so-called Deccan Traps Mountains, today in India. We may think that some of these recorded events were fortuitous or accidental, but as mentioned before, in this universe, there are mathematical laws where nothing happens by accident. Let's imagine a timeline where today is day 0, present. To the left lies our already traversed past, and to the right, the future. If we locate these 5 milestones known on the timeline, maybe we can draw some conclusions. Now, we take a part in the past of this line and move the time window along with its recorded events to the present. There we see that the first milestone coincides very precisely with another extinction event. The second milestone was the Devonian extinction, which for some reason happened over a period of million years, with its exact time location being very imprecise. To be fair, we will fix the second event from the past and the second event of this cycle in the following cycle. Now, we take this cycle again to repeat it in the next period and realize that our current present is located right in the time window of the next extinction. But the cycle we took is 200 million years, not 225, as we had previously said. Well, it turns out that upon reviewing current texts, there is no clarity on the actual time it takes for this cycle. In fact, the discrepancy between the data is about 40 million years, so we can easily think that the cycle of the Sun through the Milky Way takes 200 million years when we see the match of the events. Exposing all these background information, we see that the extinction phase has already begun, and the history of humanity emerged right in the process. Just as we cannot avoid day or night, we will not be able to avoid this event. It may last for thousands of years or just another 100. We do not know. The truth is that our planet is not in any danger. It is just traveling in its cycle, and after the extinction, it will host new forms of life, as it has done so many times before. We are the species that is in danger of extinction, along with many other animal species. But if there's nothing we can do to prevent it, does it even make sense to do anything? We cannot avoid the night, but we have illuminated it, to live as if it were day. Perhaps we cannot avoid climate change either, as it is a result of the cycle itself, but we could find a way to survive it. And if we manage to survive it, we must take into account that the regeneration of the Earth will only come at the expense of our own extinction. Therefore, if we manage to stay alive, we must necessarily learn a lot about living in balance with the environment. Otherwise, we will end up surviving for a few thousand years in our own landfill, in a lamentable way, until we end up extinct as well, but only after condemning our future generations. At the end, it is not relevant whether it is worth doing something or not. What is relevant is to decide to do it, despite any theory we believe in that justifies the opposite. Now imagine that you have a very old pet and you know he die in a couple of days. Would you stop paying attention to it, or would you try to make its last days the best with a lot of love and affection? In my opinion, this is truly the key. Let's not focus on how much time we have left. Let's focus on doing everything possible to extend it. But even more important than time should be the quality of that time. Thinking about a better world is not just about taking care of the planet, it is also about respecting every living being that inhabits it and, above all, living in harmony with each other. Can we make it worthwhile for everyone? There are millions of us, and I don't think anyone has realized the big power we would have just by joining forces for an idea. And if only we all had a decent and comfortable life, then surely we would all be willing to fight for that life and join the change. Only by combining the strength of everyone can we change our future. If you agree with anything, you can leave me a like. If you don't, tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you want to know more about other theories and how to make a big change, consider subscribing and staying tuned for the upcoming videos. See you soon.